This is Podcasting 101, and I'd like to say hello to everybody. I would like to begin our time here on Zoom with a question for you. First of all, we're going to be giving you a few helpful tips and talk to you about some basics, and hopefully, we will just keep it with the basics. I think the difficulty is that we are within the time frame. We have a lot of interesting things to talk about. And so, uh, but we'll try to keep it as simple as possible. All right. So let's start right away. I want to begin right away with a little bit of a quiz for you. And let's see, let's see how you do. Okay. Let's test your knowledge. And let's see. So we've got three questions right at the get-go here. Where does the term podcast derive from? And I want you to see if you can answer that one. It's a pretty easy question. And of course, if you know the answer, you could probably type it in the chat. But nevertheless, I'm going to give you the answer pretty quickly here. So we really don't need you to tell me the answer because our time is pretty short. So I'm going to just try to ask you the question, see if you know it, and then we'll come up with the answers for you. Okay. Second question: what is the number one podcast in America? Now I got stumped on that one. Although my neighbor's son was here yesterday, he is probably about 15, I think, 14, 15 years old, and goes to a local charter school. Pretty knowledgeable young man. He told me that he does a lot of listening to podcasts, and he named the number one podcast right away, and I didn't even know that was it. So I'll come back to that in a minute. Question number 3: how many listeners tune in each day? So do you ever wonder here in the United States alone how many people are listening to a podcast? And across the world, how many there are? Well, of course, we know that technology doesn't go quite extensively to as many countries as it does here. They don't have the infrastructure, but anyway. All right, so let's go to the answers now. Number 1, podcasting was originally known as audio blogging. And I did not know that there's a guy named Ben Hammersley. Apparently, Ben is the guy who coined the term. Never heard of him. Of course, we know that is a combination of the two words iPod and broadcast together, and that makes podcast. And that was pretty easy to guess. Number 2, the most popular Joe Rogan Experience. Now, my neighbor's son knew this one right off the bat. I did not know the answer to this. And he has 11 million people listening per episode. Can you believe that? Can you believe it? That is just absolutely amazing. 11 million people per episode. And here's another amazing stat for you. The answer to number 3 is, as far as how many listeners are there worldwide, apparently there are 504 million. I think that's kind of a low number. But they say that is 23% of the internet users, and 100 million in the United States. Considering what our population is, that's roughly almost a third of the country tunes into podcasts. So I think you're getting into something here. You as a writer, if you're interested in doing this, if you want to reach a lot of people, not that you're going to reach 100 million people. I mean, you'll see as we go on here. I'm going to talk to you about the podcast that I've done in the past, and you'll get the idea that it's not that easy to reach too many people unless you want to pay some money to promote it. I'm never willing to pay money to promote it. I'm just willing to put it up there where it's, I get the free service. So, all right. So that is your opening quiz. And now let's go to our 3 areas that we're going to be discussing and in order to put together a podcast. So let's keep it really as simple as we possibly can. You'll see right there the picture of Napoleon. Keep it simple. I wish that I did. He got into a lot of trouble, Napoleon. Now, I was a history teacher. I don't want to elaborate on that. That's going to be a rabbit trail. But yeah, there's a lot of things that Napoleon got involved in, as well as other historical figures, for not keeping it simple. But let's just boil this down to three basic things here. First of all, we want to talk about pre-production. And the simplest way to put that is, what is the idea? What is your idea? The second area would be the production of it. How do you implement it? And then the final area is the post-production, is where do I invite others? So I'm just going to say it this way. Let's break it down into what's your idea? How do you implement that idea? And how do you invite other people to hear that idea? All right. So those are going to be the areas that we're going to look at. The first area, which is, what is the idea? Okay, that's going to be your pre-production area. These are some, you can see right here on the slide, these are some of your considerations. The equipment, the hardware, the programming, all right? Now let's kind of just briefly touch on a little bit of those. So let's begin by talking about the format. Do you want to do a commentary? I mean, there's a lot of different formats out there, but I think personally I'm in favor of a couple of them. One of them, I think, is, do you want to do a running commentary like a Rush Limbaugh? Somebody like that. He didn't particularly have any guests. It was just basically a running commentary. Dennis Prager does that. You can name a lot of people. I haven't listened to the Joe Rogan show. I don't know what that format is. I'll have to listen to it. Perhaps some of you probably know what that format is. He may do interviews, but I break it down into, do you want to do an interview program? Do you want to do a commentary program? Do you want to do a combination of both? I generally am in favor with mostly a commentary program, because it doesn't involve a lot of complicated technical stuff as far as hooking up another person on the phone. Although I've got episodes where that happens. And I think it can be very interesting if you get somebody. But when you're just starting out, it's kind of tough to come up with a guest that other people are going to be interested in. Although I don't think, maybe that's not so necessarily true, because it really is about the topic. It's not so much about the person. My old boss, where I used to work at K-Bright Radio, which is here in Southern California, Rich Bueller, he used to just say, don't spend time focusing on the person. Pick a nice topic and then just explore that. And so you can do that with either a commentary or with an interview. Another consideration is the name and the purpose and the vision statement, okay? Let me come back to, let's go forward there and take a look at that for a minute. All right, well, yeah, you can see this is my home site, the home site of my podcast right there. So what I'm asking you to do is consider, what do you want the thing to look like up there on the platform? This is on Spotify, so you can actually go up there and see this on Spotify right now. I call it Rockville Radio 7.77, not to be confused with some other people out there who have the same similar title there. I think there is a Rockville Radio there, but there isn't a Rockville Radio 7.77, so that's why I chose that title there. The picture was taken from the actual town called Rockville in Utah. It's over there in southern Utah. Yeah. Might be a copyright infringement. I should probably call them and tell them that I took that picture of their sign, because all I did was change the lettering around to reflect the theme of my program. The theme of my program is Jesus is the rock. So that's why it's called Rockville. That is what the Bible, we know him in the Bible as the rock. And you're building a solid foundation if your life is built on the rock. That's the simplest way I can explain what my program is about. So that's the entire focus, whether it's a commentary or an interview. It's to point people that way, to have a strong, solid foundation. The other thing that you want to do is, again, you want to consider where, and we're going to come back to that at the end. But where are you going to put this? Well, again, like I said, I'm trying to put it somewhere where it's free. I don't want to be paying a lot of money to put it up there. I like producing the program, but I don't like paying for the program. I know there's other things involved in this. You can get advertisers and you can monetize it and all that. I'm just keeping it very simple. I want to take my ideas. I want to take the ideas that I have. I want to implement them. I want to invite others to listen. And so the easiest way to do that is to get it up there on Spotify, which a lot of people listen to. But again, how is it going to be packaged? Well, you've got a picture that you've got a theme, a name, a picture. You want to keep it all consistent together like that. And then you want to put that up there. So you have to create an account. That's not hard to do. These days we create accounts for everything. If you want to pay your electric bill, you create an account. If you want to pay your gas bill, you create another account. So all of those things like that are we're kind of used to. And so Spotify is just another account that you can create. You also want to consider your opening music and things like that. We'll get to that in a minute here when we get to the implementation. But you want to determine how long do you want the program to be. Now, I don't really want my program to be longer than 15 minutes, half an hour. If it's a guest, if I do happen to get a guest in the studio or over the phone, but still, I'm trying not to go farther than anywhere from 15 minutes to half an hour. The famous people, like the Joe Rogan people, I'm sure they're on there for hours. I don't want to do that. I don't want to take up people's time. I just want to give them a quick episode that reflects the theme, the vision, the purpose of what I'm there for, and leave them with something that'll hopefully encourage them each time they hear one of the episodes. Some takeaway points, that'll just build them up. So I keep it there. I also try to keep in mind what are some potential topics. So always keep your antenna up for potential ideas, potential topics. You as a writer with your books, there's a lot of interesting things I know that you get into when you do research and your particular genre that you're working in. I think there's probably a lot of ways you can generate ideas. Also, you want to, in your pre-production phase, you want to, when you do have an idea, you want to develop just an outline, basically. I'm sure some people can develop a script and all that. I just try to develop a basic outline, get some questions ready. If I'm going to interview somebody, if I'm not going to interview somebody, if I'm going to be doing just a commentary, again, what is the topic? So the key in this particular portion of our preparation here is, what is the idea? What is the topic that you're going to do a commentary on or explore with a guest? That's the whole focus of the beginning here. Other things that we need to consider, we do need to consider the equipment. So I have, you can't see the computer, of course, because the camera is on the computer, but this is a Mac Mini computer. It's not fancy. It's not a fancy Macintosh. I mean, you can go as small as an iPad. You can use your phone to make. There's my phone right here. I've made episodes on my phone, but I've still downloaded them to the computer. When you do an episode on the phone, you're just using some kind of basic recording I think a little app, a recording app, is something that I've used, is what I use on the phone. And then I use like a little lapel microphone that you can buy on the internet. I think they're like $10 maybe from Walmart or Amazon. And you can get, it's decent quality, but I ultimately bring it back to the computer. Now if you're looking at the screen there, what you can see is the microphone right here that I'm using. You can see it's the exact one, the MXL 990. This is about $100 microphone. It's a condenser microphone. Also, I have a pop screen right here. The moisture from your mouth, the human breath has moisture in it, which destroys the element in that microphone. And not that $100 microphone is going to be hard to replace, but I've had this one. Let's see, for almost 20 years, I guess. Yeah, 2024. I believe it or not, I bought that. I guess I've had it for 18 years. Yeah, so it's still a good microphone. I like it. I see no reason. I've got fancier ones. I've got the same brand, but the next one of the ones that's higher up, it's a tube mic. This, however, is what they call a condenser. It's a large diaphragm microphone. It also requires power, phantom power. And because it's not self-powered, today you can buy the USB plug-in type microphone from Best Buy and places like that. And I'm sure they're good quality. I just happen to be old-fashioned because I'm a broadcaster. I actually worked in Christian radio back in the 1980s, way before we had any of this stuff. So I'm used to broadcast gear. The idea that we're not trying to bypass the soundboard. We're trying to go through a soundboard, so we got some EQ, although you can do a lot of that with the software stuff. So basically, again, to keep it simple, I just go with a microphone that's like this. It's a $100 mic. But again, you try to make sure it's a good quality mic, condenser mic, large diaphragm mic. And in this case, it's not self-powered. It has to be powered by what you see up on the screen there called the Audio Buddy. Now, that's an interface. That's also the power source. Now, this is it right here. That's because I'm not running it through that right now. I'm running it through a PreSonus, but it's still the same idea. You got two channels here. On the back here, this is actually where the microphone plugs in. On the front here is, this is just actually the volume control and so forth. But yes, this is just a simple $100 unit as well. Well, 120, I think. I get all the stuff from the Guitar Center. That's where I bought my equipment from. Nowadays, there's so many ways that you can just look on YouTube. You can Google how to hook things together, or you can just ask the people that sell it to you and they can explain to you how to hook it together. Now, this all, as I mentioned, it all goes into my computer, and there you see the program the software program I use is called GarageBand, and that comes with Apple computers. The other computers, I know they come with programs for the PCs also. One program that I know that a lot of people use is called Audacity. That's a free download, and it works very similar to GarageBand. It's just a tiny bit more complicated. So I didn't really want to demonstrate anything on that computer. Excuse me for a second here. I did not want to demonstrate anything on that with that software program because it's a little bit trickier than this one is. GarageBand is very, very user-friendly, very straightforward. That's the whole thing about Apple. The original intentions that they had when they designed everything was to make it as user-friendly as possible for the people who wanted to create audio stuff and music and videos. So it can definitely testify. I try to involve myself in all of that stuff, and everything that Apple does, as far as I'm concerned, is very user friendly and easy to do. But on the screen there, you can see, let's see if I can get the cursor to go here for you. All right, so GarageBand, what you've got here is you can see some, this is an example of a podcast right here, what it looks like. This is just a picture. I'll try to show you the actual program. But here you see that you have your first track right here. This is for the opening of the show. This over here is the second track. This is where the actual person is. Now, the example I'm going to be showing you, I'm going to be breaking the rules right away here that I'm telling you. I'm going to be showing you a podcast that I did with my uncle, who's a World War II veteran. He's 100 years old. He is decorated with the Bronze Star for fighting the Nazis in World War II. Like I said, he's still living. It's pretty hard to resist doing an interview with a World War II veteran who's a hero. That's just a gimme. But I didn't do that for many, many years because my uncle, just out of respect for him, I didn't know if he was willing to talk about his experiences in World War II, but he did it. So I'm really fortunate. At any rate, you're looking at the picture of his podcast right there. And so we'll get into more about that. So one thing that you do want to do ahead of time is I like to put together the music and, have like a theme song for the program. Now, the tricky part with podcasting is it's the same thing as whether you're doing an audio podcast or whether you're doing a video podcast. The trickiest part is, of course, the copyright. You don't want to get sued. So you don't want to use anybody else's song. I happen to be a musician, so I'm very fortunate because I can understand key changes and all the things that go with that. GarageBand of all things, how appropriate. I actually started in a GarageBand and loved every minute of that because it was in my early 20s. So what you want to do is come up with an idea and use what they have on GarageBand because it's something that you're not going to get sued for. And I can see if I can show you how to do that. But you just want to have like a little music bed at the opening that you can announce over the top of before you go into the program. All right. And that is pretty much how we handle our idea phase. So let's go to our next phase here. And you can see Edward R. Murrow right there, one of my favorite broadcasters of all time. He used to do some great interviews. He actually did a wonderful interview with the Kennedys. No, wait a minute. I take that back. That's actually, he did do it. I believe he was a senator at the time, I think. I'm thinking also that there was a different one later on with Walter Cronkite as well. Anyway, all right, so we had, what is the idea? Now we have, how do I implement my idea? This is known as the production basic elements, all right? So we're going to go to that phase now. So just as I mentioned right here, as you can see on the screen, just a few key items to monitor, all right? All right, so I'm going to take that example of my uncle. So that was my idea was, what's the idea is, I want to interview my uncle. I want to I want him to talk about how he won the Bronze Star. And if I could have, I would have gotten him to talk even deeper about what are his personal beliefs as far as faith goes, and how did God help him in the Second World War. It was my fault. I really spaced out because the history teacher beside me took over, and I mainly was focusing on which was the main point was how did he win the Bronze Star. But I could have brought in those other elements as well. Nevertheless, I liked the way the interview went with him because it's interesting to talk to somebody who's done that. So the way that you do this now, and you take your idea, how do you implement this? Well, you open up your program And let's go there now. We're going to go now. We're going to go right over here. So now you can actually hopefully see the real actual, you can actually see my voice there. I'm talking. This is the actual desktop view that you have of your GarageBand software program. On the first channel, let me make sure that I've got everything set up the right way here so you can kind of see it. Okay, on the first channel right here, I've chosen to put my voice right here for the introduction. On the channel over here, this is my Uncle Hank right here. He's right there. And then over here is the music bed, all right? So the first thing I wanted the music to be, I wanted it something that was going to work, and so we want something, we don't want to be boring, but we don't want it to take over as well. We want it to kind of add to the overall flavor of the program. So hopefully you'll be able to hear this when I hit this button here. Let me get this going for you. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let me take my part of it out for a second here. All right, so what I chose was this music loop right here. It's just a bass guitar. But I think it's catchy enough, really, to get your attention. And then over the top of that, I'm going to give an announcement. Now, here's the thing, though. You don't really want to do that until after you have done your program. Unless, now let me take that back. If you're doing a running commentary program and it's just you already know what the topic is going to be. So you can create the hook. The hook is and you'll hear that, the hook is the announcement part. That's the part that gets you into the program. That's the part that draws the listener in. When I used to work at Christian radio station K-Bright, our boss, Don Crawford, he's still living. He's probably about 85 now. But Mr. Crawford owns Crawford Broadcasting, which is across America. He's got several radio stations. But he used to come to our radio station where I was working as a writer. He would tell us you had about 3 seconds or 4 seconds to get the attention of the audience. So because it's so quick, and we live in such a quick world now, you want to get people's attention quickly, fast, I mean. The commentary that you're going to give, if you already know the topic, package up a hook for it and record it. In this case with my Uncle Hank, didn't really quite know exactly how this interview was going to turn out. I had to listen to it first, then I developed the hook. So now let me play you the whole thing together now. So you're going to hear the announcement. I'm going to give it a hook at the beginning to draw the listener in. I'm going to make it as fast as possible. We're going to have the music underneath. Then I'm going to announce the name of the program itself, and then we're going to go to the interview. So here we go. Sorry, that's not it. I unmuted the wrong track. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Ready, set, go. Picture this. You're about a 20-year-old infantryman serving in the Second World War, somewhere in Europe. Suddenly, you hear 2 of your buddies screaming. You look over, they're lying on the ground, they're bleeding. You've got a split second to make a decision. What would you do? And what would the outcome be? Stay tuned. We are listening to Rockville Radio, a bi-monthly podcast here on Spotify and other locations on the internet. I'd like to welcome you to the program. Today it's a special one. I'm going to take you back to 2015 when I interviewed my uncle, Hank Ortiz. At the time, I was teaching an 8th grade U.S. history class at a local charter school, and I wanted them to hear his testimony. But I also wanted to get him into the classroom. I couldn't do it. He was 91 years old, and he lived quite a ways from the high desert area. So he and I did a recording, And then what we did was I played it in the classroom for the kids and had my Uncle Hank wait on the phone, and he took the questions from the kids after the class was over. So I decided that after that I would keep the recording and then one day put it out there as a podcast. And so that's what you're about to hear. So you'll hear some references to the kids in the classroom and probably... Now, so what's happening there is, like I said, you heard the hook. I tried to draw the listener into the episode. Then you heard me talk about what the name of the program was, the overall name of the program. And then I tried to prepare the listener for the episode, because there are some things in there that I could have edited out, like the references to the classroom and the time of the year, which was August. It's not August right now. And so, but instead of doing that, I just thought the easiest thing to do is just tell people, this is what you're going to hear, and this is why you're going to hear that, right? So this is the implementation of my idea. All I had to do was really just decide what the music was, the music bed, what that was going to be for, and that's really going to be the music bed for every episode. So you don't have to change that. But the other stuff I had to develop that idea really quick, which wasn't hard to do because I heard what he already said. And then we go into the interview. Now, this was done over the phone. So this is a lot more complicated, not that much more complicated, but it does involve you. If you're doing a phone setup, what I do is I hook I just take a line, I hook a line over to the phone here, and I would bring that over into my interface right here. And then I'm monitoring the volume, and I'm, of course, like you can see on the screen here, you have to assign a channel. I'm right here on this channel, and he's right here on that channel. And as I showed you earlier, the music was right down here. Now, all I did with him was I brought him in, and then I let him tell the story. I just asked him some questions ahead of time that I don't remember at the time, but I'm sure that I had some idea already of what I was going to ask him, because he and I had already talked about this story at his house. So, yeah, time of the year that it was. So give it a listen. Okay, I'm speaking with my Uncle Hank, Henry Ortiz. Uncle Hank, how are you today?
Oh, fine, and you?
I'm pretty good, and we're doing this recording for our U.S. history class, and let me introduce them to you. This is my Uncle Henry Ortiz. I actually said that my backwards. Uncle Hank was a soldier in World War II, and Uncle Hank, you were in the 28th Infantry Division of the U.S. Army. Is that right?
Yeah, we were attached to it. I was with the 28th Division with the 1st Army.
Yeah.
But where I was in the 447 anti-aircraft.
Okay, and now today is August the 30th, so I probably won't get a chance to play the recording for the students for a while here until we get to the lesson. One thing that is happening when you're recording the program, you can see right here. I'm going to point to it. Here's your clock right here. So you try to make sure that you have your clock set and keep your eye on that. If you're concerned about it like me, I'm concerned about the time. So keep your eye on the clock as you're running the program. All right. Also, now I get into the story with him, and you can actually go up there and listen to the full interview. I don't want to do that right now because I'm going to got other things I want to explain to you. You are watching the clock there. Again, if you've determined it's going to be a 15-minute program like I do, then you kind of know where you want to take the program and how quickly you want to get. Eventually, I get him to talk about how he won the Bronze Star and so forth. Well, and I'm also along the way, I'm trying to make a mental note of what are some things that I might need to edit out. Well, like I said earlier, Uh, the thing about August, I could have taken that out, but you're going to hear that if you listen to this on my real podcast site there, that it is relevant because he actually marched into Paris that in August, and that's actually the day that Paris was liberated. So it is kind of appropriate. But at any rate, you want to just kind of get through the program. Pay attention too. I noticed that one of the things that is really tricky is you get distracted. You know, you got the screen in front of you. You've got I've got my headphones on. I'm listening to him. I've got my questions. I'm looking at an iPad. You can't see it, but I would have my questions over here that I did in my pre-production phase. It's a lot going on. But you'll get used to it. You get used to it. If you're doing a guest, yes, it's there's a lot going on. But if it's just you doing a commentary, that's a different story. It's a lot simpler. Now, what do we do when we're done? Well, when you're done, what you're going to do is you actually have to go up to the top of GarageBand, and you've got to, it says share up there. All you do is just share that over to your music, the music portion of your computer. You just make it a music file, you make it an MP3 or a WAV file. And in Apple, you can store that in the Apple Music part of your computer. So you want to store that over there after you're done, after you clean it up. Clean it up if you need to, and then send it up there. But let's go back to our slideshow right here. So yes, so the final phase is, where do I invite people to listen to? Well, I touched on that earlier. You want to clean it up, you want to get it published, and that means that you're going to go back to your platform again. That's, with me, it is Spotify, and I try to develop the hook again. You take that hook and you put that hook up there for everybody to see. Let's see if we can get the hook up here for you. If I can just bring that up for you. Let me see here. No, that's not. Let's see here. There we go. Well, no, that's not it. There is a hook area, and I don't see it. Anyway, let me go back here to where we were. There we were. Okay. On your platform, on Spotify, if you with your page, your page is gonna look like this. You're not going to see the same thing that everybody else sees. They are going to see a lot of different. Their view is going to be a lot different. Let's see if we can. I just do real quick, like, see if I can get you over there to where you can actually see it. Let's see here. We want to take all of these down there, and okay, now we're all the way to the desktop there. Oh my goodness! There it is. All right, I found it. Okay, so yes, this is actually what you're going to be seeing right here. And this is the view that you'll see. Now, when you're going to do a new episode, it tells you to drag and drop it right there. And that's very simple, because all that you really do is go back to, in my situation, because it's going to be this music right here. This is my Uncle Hank's file right there. I'm just going to drag that thing over there. I'm going to drag that just like that. And that is it's very much I'm just going to put it right there, and it's going to go in there. And so that is how you're going to get it up there. Now, once you get it up there, then you have to do the work of, you've got to do the work here like this of the details. So the details are showing you here that you're going to fill in all of these things here. This is the hook right here. Again, he won the Bronze Star in World War II for this heroic deed. And I give a summary right there. And then this is the actual episode right here. So if you actually went up to my website, you would be hearing this. There it is. Picture this. You're about a 20-year-old infantryman serving in the Second World War. Okay, so that's where it is now. You also have analytics. They give you a breakdown of your number of plays and the audience retention. There's a whole bunch of stuff there you can explore on that. And then, of course, all your episodes are right here. So that's your location where you invite people to listen to what you've done. And you can promote this. There's a lot of ways you can promote it. I don't really do much in the way of promoting it. I know that you can make a Facebook page for it. What is there? There's all these other Twitter. I mean, there's just so many social media platforms out there and so many different ways that you can promote your podcast. I don't really promote it. I'll put it up on Facebook sometimes, but it's once, just very rare that I do that. I just let people run across it because if you go to the analytics, you can see I have a total of 956 plays altogether. That's not much. That's for my 35 episodes. But they do tell you the location. I'm looking for that. Generally, you can find a geographic. There it is under audience. It tells you right here the geographic location of your listeners. 87% of my listeners are in the United States. I've got some in Germany, or I had some in Germany. This because there's my age demographic right there. Because mine have been up there since 2020 on this particular platform. But at any rate, that is a simple introduction for you to Podcasting 101. And I hope those were helpful ideas. So keep in mind, it's those three things. What is my idea? How do I implement my idea? And how do I invite other people to listen to it? So thank you for your time.